Tell me, what are the basic ideas of Ambedkar as discussed in the third part of the movie? We're discussing only two movies. We did Gandhi and then Ambedkar second. Okay, Karim case came. Karim case?
Yes.
So I went through your note and it was a good summary.
Yes.
But can you explain? Can you explain in terms of your views also, not simply the points? What do you think are the main points in your part, and tell me your views? You can list 2-3 points.
Yes, sir. Sir,
and just let me tell you in advance, we are going to use Ambedkar in many places. That is number one. Number two, we will also use him in the context of development of attitudes. Okay, why I'm doing this now is that your syllabus says development of public attitudes. It is not about personal attitudes. Attitudes towards certain social and political issues. Ambedkar represents a contrast from mainstream perspective. So I felt that you should think about these issues. Okay, I would, in my opinion, there are only very few original thinkers in politics, and the two are Gandhi and Ambedkar. Very original. Okay, they have indigenous roots and at the same time modern and global perspective. Okay, they are not just imitation of anybody. So these two deserve very close study. Case, please proceed.
Sir, throughout the movie, we can see Ambedkar's experience of various disabilities posed by the society.
Third part. You come to third part. We are starting from the third part. You did the third part, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Government of the communal award provides separate electorates.
So what are the main issues in the third part? Communal award. Okay. And next?
Sir, Pune Pact.
Communal award and Pune Pact interlinked.
Sir, change of religion.
Change of religion. Okay. Okay. Case, tell me about your views on these two issues. Explain the basic facts and then tell me your views.
Yes, sir. The communal award was given to incorporate the interests of several minority groups, politically active minority groups, Muslim, Christians, and eventually was given to Sikhs. And in the roundtable conference, Ambedkar sought separate electorate for his depressed classes.
Okay.
So that becomes the point of contention between Gandhi and Ambedkar, because it raises the question whether depressed classes should be given separate treatment, and would they be part of the Hinduism or not? And Ambedkar, due to his experiences, do not trust the upper caste people to help the lower castes. So he wanted to get separated, separate electorates, and thus true representation in the legislature. And but Gandhi does not like Hinduism, Hindu community to be divided along these lines. So it kind of forced Gandhi insists through his fasting and wants Ambedkar to make some concessions regarding his demands. But the British
separate electorate dropped and reservations given. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And do you know, I mean, one thing also needs to be told here. There is also an issue of primaries. Ambedkar insisted on primaries. Primaries meant depressed classes, okay, currently called Dalits, would elect their candidates first. Okay, 4. And then they would be elected by general constituency.
Panel.
Yes, they would elect in a primary, they would elect their own and then by the general constituency. Okay. Why was Ambedkar concerned? Ambedkar was concerned that the Dalits representatives should not be nominal or they should not be dummies of the upper caste people. So only Dalits should have say in electing the Dalit candidates. Otherwise, they would be dummy candidates in this electoral process decided by majority community, but in effect, upper caste. That was what Ambedkar thought. Ambedkar did not give up on primaries. History textbooks don't emphasize on primaries. That's why I'm emphasizing. History textbooks wrote in terms of separate electorate versus reservations. That is not true. Separate electorate versus reservations plus primaries. So it is not true Ambedkar completely gave up because of Gandhi's fast. No. Ambedkar, there was a compromise, but Ambedkar insisted on primaries plus reservations instead of separate electorate. So Ambedkar did not completely yield to Gandhi's demand. Okay. These provisions we find unusual because they did not work in practice. After that, independence came, and then all the separate electorates done away with, no primaries done away with. So we don't know, but that was the agreement of the Pune Pact. So that these are the facts. Now, Karim, I want to ask you, what is your judgment? Who is right between Gandhi and Ambedkar? I can tell you this is the most important thing that affected Gandhi's legacy. Who is right between the two, between Gandhi and Ambedkar on this issue?
Sir, I think Ambedkar is right because we can see that in real politics, dummy people and the influence of upper caste is inevitable because of there is so much illiteracy rampant among the depressed classes also. So they deserve true representation in the legislature.
Why do you talk about, just listen, why do you talk about illiteracy? Just numbers. Do Dalits constitute majority anywhere? Dalits don't constitute majority. Okay, 15% is not a majority. So, minorities, these are minorities, economically minority. So, of course, illiteracy also might be a factor, but even otherwise, upper caste have the political power. You can talk about political power, economic power, isn't it so? Or you think it is simply a matter of illiteracy?
So they are minority and it is necessary.
Minority and they don't have economic power and socially discriminated, they have all the disadvantages. So Ambedkar's proposal is that let them elect their own leaders. Okay. So, Karim, you think Ambedkar was right? Okay. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
And why what is the most important reason why do you think he was right?
Sir, yeah, as we discussed that since they are spread out and do not constitute majority in any constituency per se.
And all put together, because you can see that is what is going on even now, isn't it?
Yes.
Please just follow this argument. There are two things. Something happened in the distant past, and we are using the present to judge. This is how history should be written. But did Bipin Chandra write like this? No. Please think about it. History should be constantly updated in the light of the present. What is the present? In the reserved constituencies, upper caste dominate. Till now, Dalits could not capture power. And this was Ambedkar's point then. Okay, we are discussing one, Ambedkar's point, and number two, the way history should be written. Why I insist on this is that Bipin Chandra didn't do all these things, and all civil service aspirants equate Bipin Chandra with history, with truth. That is not true. Bipin Chandra's version of history is Gandhi Nehru version of history. Very incomplete. Okay. So the way history should be written, history should be updated. So Ambedkar took that position. Gandhi said it would be abolished within these many years. But finally, what happened? So we should go back and then discuss who was right. And most people would say Ambedkar was right. We discussed Gandhi, let me tell you, in Gandhi's battles with Ambedkar and Jinnah, they were found to be right. We may discuss Jinnah later, but between Gandhi and Ambedkar, Ambedkar was not only found to be right, but also not only that, but because of Gandhi's opposition with Ambedkar, Gandhi's image went down in independent India. Ambedkar's image went up and Gandhi's image went down. Gandhi is becoming more popular the world over and not in India. Single most blunder, the way he handled Ambedkar. And most important thing, Pune Pact. Ambedkar was felt deeply wounded. Can you tell me in the movie where you saw deep wound of Ambedkar? Karim? Okay, case. Where Ambedkar, I don't know if you followed, deep wound, he expressed it.
Sir, when he was not offered accommodation, and also Maharaja.
No.
Sir.
Something more he said to Gandhi. I don't know if you noticed it.
Yes, sir. To not use fast as a technique.
Exactly.
And his life is very precious.
Exactly. What does it mean? What does it mean, Karim? Case? If you do this next time, you will die.
Okay.
And of course, Gandhi understood. He felt cheated. If Gandhi's life is precious, why are you cornering me? That's what he asked. Of course, that is Gandhi's feeling, that is Ambedkar's feeling, whether Ambedkar actually said doesn't matter, because movie is supposed to capture the spirit, not a particular sentence. But that was right. Ambedkar felt deeply wounded. So that wound came out. Papu, your life is precious, don't fast.
Was blackmailed.
He's saying that Gandhi has a way of making us a villain, and that's what he did. Remember, now Ambedkar is a power, but at that time Ambedkar was a small person and Gandhi was great. Shall I tell you a great thing about the movie? Ambedkar's defiance. Gandhi was defying British Empire. He was being glorified, but Ambedkar was defying Gandhi. That was defense. He was being called unpatriotic, traitor, all kinds of things. But he stuck to his cause.
Colluded with British.
But he stuck to his cause. What do you say, Case?
So
didn't you see that rebellious spirit in Ambedkar?
Yes, sir. He won't care, whatever the majority thinks. And he also gave up with the present view of his life, sir. He said that future historians would judge him and his actions.
Exactly. That's even more important. He said the future would judge. in a better way. And when that person asked, suppose the future doesn't judge, he said, I don't care. Let me tell you, that is the right attitude. I believe in that future judge me favorably. So if the future doesn't judge, I don't care. Why? Because he is sure of his cause. Same Socratic spirit, sure of cause. Everybody need not die like Socrates. But people fight on the basis of their convictions. So what? History doesn't treat you well. Ambedkar simply said, I don't care. That is the right attitude. So we discussed this communal award, and Ambedkar is right. Why? Because now we can see, even now, dummy candidates. Untouchability not removed. Okay. So Ambedkar is becoming increasingly popular. Bipin Chandra is not completely updated. History textbooks don't deal this issue. They just discuss a conflict, but they don't say Ambedkar seemed to be right. No. But that is the feeling of Dalits. That is the feeling of vast section of the population. That is the reason why Gandhi became unpopular. That is the reason why politicians are afraid of quoting Gandhi. Look at him. Only on August 15th, you see Gandhi's statue somewhere, that's all. But Ambedkar is there everywhere in every village. So, Pune Pact is something that damaged Gandhi very severely. I would say if one single mistake Gandhi made, I would call this.
So can I make a point, sir?
Please, Mayank, please tell me.
So we don't really know what would have happened, right? If the counterfactual would have occurred. Say if the communal pact had not, communal award was implemented the way it was. I mean, it could have had other fallout which could have.
That is true. That is true. But we are asking two things. Number one, Gandhi's argument was that Hindus would do something, law would do something, and we would change. They did not change.
Yes,
and number two, Ambedkar's argument was that people would be dummy candidates in a general electorate.
yes,
Then even now they are. So these two facts would support.
So my point was that probably, to my understanding, would be somewhere out in the middle of the both the sides, because say if had the communal award been accepted the way it was, then it could have led to ghettoization of population, exchange of populations between constituencies.
It means conflict between the castes.
Yes, sir.
But why should that lead to? That's one. Well, let us look at that. That's fine. Okay. But I answered this question, right? We'll look at other things.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So basically, Ambedkar's argument was political representation, and that's how we discussed. Next case, next point. That is one very serious issue. Thank you, Mayank. Case, another of Gandhi's point. Won't it lead to division of Hindus? Won't Hinduism be divided? That was one very important point to Gandhi. So, just one second. We discussed the political part of this. Okay. Next, division of Hinduism. This is the second part. Division of Hinduism. Now, case, what are your views on this? Because, I mean, first of all, tell me what is the view, or what? Or next, what are your views? What did Gandhi say?
On division of Hindu communities,
Hmm.
because due to separate electorates.
Hmm.
You are asking this.
Yes, exactly. Gandhi's objection was that it would lead to division of Hinduism. What would be Ambedkar's concern? Please, this is a very, very important issue. This shows how these two people have different approach to religion. Devansh, it's your part. Can you answer this question?
Sir, Dr. Ambedkar had even said that in that conference that I don't care because Hindus don't treat us as Hindus and they want us to be a part of Hinduism for political reasons. Even if we separate out, I mean, all I care for is basic human rights and equality for us. It does not matter if we are a part of Hinduism.
Nice. Tell me, is that attitude right or wrong?
Sir, that was right, because he was correct that Hindus wanted them for that political strength of number. But then in the beginning of the movie, it was shown that India was getting independence and a Dalit man was being beaten in the...
No, you just confine to this stand, which is important. Unity of Hinduism or rights of people?
The rights of people.
That's all. There it ends. That is what Ambedkar was interested in. The idea that Hinduism should be united, for what? Why should Hinduism be united? Why shouldn't it be 100,000 pieces? Religion is to serve man and not the other way around. Ambedkar was very clear. What religion, what purpose does this religion serve us? It is not. Check it out. Very simple. And let me tell you always one thing. Whoever talks about unity, I'm giving one standard tip. It is the people who dominate want the unity. People who are oppressed want something else. Upper caste want Hindu unity. Unity is a very deceptive argument. Unity is a name given for domination. So Ambedkar is concerned not about Hindu unity. And how can a person be concerned about unity of a religion? It doesn't make sense. Ambedkar is right. So these are all the reasons why Ambedkar developed deep wounds on the way Gandhi was behaving with him. Remember, do you see why Gandhi was a personal enemy? It was because it was not Congress stand, it was Gandhi's stand. Congress said if these people wanted and the government was giving, we had no objection. But it was Gandhi who took it up personally and went on not just fast unto death. Not a 3-day fast or a 7-day fast. Fast unto death. More importantly, how is that different from blackmailing? Fast is supposed to spiritually purify a person. That is the philosophy of Gandhi. The role of fast, spiritual purification, which is supposed to impact the evil. But the point here is, who is the evil between Gandhi and Ambedkar? Satyagraha is supposed to work against the evil. Who is the evil here? We discussed Gandhism. What is Satyagraha? Somebody is doing bad things, though there is truth in him. And through non-violent resistance, you bring out the truth in that person and he will behave well. how can one be sure that Ambedkar is wrong? Ambedkar's issue is wrong. So Satyagraha is supposed to change the heart of the evildoer. Who is the evildoer here? So how is it that this not different from blackmailing? These are all issues. So I am going to die and all of you go and pressurize Ambedkar. How is that how can a man of truth do such a thing? Because the philosophy of Satyagraha is self-purification. That is number one. Number two, transformation of the evildoer. So Ambedkar is not an evildoer. So what role does fast have here? Communal rioting. Fast has a role. We discussed, and it was successfully a successful effort to bring peace. That was right. So
Gandhi said it's suicidal. Gandhi said that it was suicidal for depressed classes. Sir, I think there is some merit or some point that can support his view.
Please. Merit in which point? You please continue.
Sir, sir, depressed classes, if they become a separate entity and they.
But how do they become separate entities here? They are only having a separate representatives. How do they become separate entities? They are a part of society in every way.
Yes, sir.
Just because they elect separate representatives, do they become separate entities? Constituencies select separate leaders, but are they separate entities? No.
No, sir. But they don't have to depend on the general electorate to get into power. So their presence in the power is solid, cemented, and they are actually also taking the economic and other resources. So the general public would feel that not only social rights, but also economic and other opportunities are being taken away by the depressed classes, which was not the case before. So that would invite more resentment from the general classes, general caste members.
That is true, thank you. But that is the part of any struggle, right? The privileged will oppose giving the benefits to the underprivileged. So what should a great man support and what should a social change be? Landlords will of course oppose land reforms. But will you say that leads to division and so land reforms are bad? No. And Britishers didn't like to go anyway, but we were fighting.
But there is huge inequality between the depressed classes and the caste Hindus.
Exactly. That is why something has to be done to help them. So it cannot be a ground that they would oppose. No, Gandhi may have thought that way, but we are questioning, is that right? Because the privileged would suppress. Remember, these things were going on in 1930s, and even now, extreme inequalities, except for the people who got reservation and few elite. But the general situation, only some change. So the difference is Ambedkar was completely concerned with the issues of Dalits. So political participation would enable, and this was the way political participation would be possible, because otherwise it would be dummy candidates, nominal representatives.
So,
just one second. So what do you say, Case? Isn't it not like that? I mean, I don't see any merit in Gandhi's argument, either spiritually or politically or in any other way, in any way, except his basic conservatism and upper caste mindset.
Sir, he believes that can happen. Their progress can happen within the realm of Hinduism.
But that is not true, right? That hasn't happened, and that was not there before, and that didn't happen later. So Ambedkar was right. So the idea of Hindu unity was not appealing to Ambedkar, because he was interested in people's rights. Mayank, please.
You mentioned primaries, right? Wouldn't that have been an effective way of weeding out these issues? Like, why wasn't that accepted at that point in time?
Yeah, Gandhi accepted as a concession. I mean, next to separate electorate, but the whole thing did not. We're just looking at whether those arguments were right.
Okay.
Primaries were right, but finally they were not introduced, right? Because after partition, all these things were dispensed with.
Okay.
They were thinking of India without partition. Okay. But after partition, all these things were done away with. So separate electorates dropped and primaries also dropped, but reservations continued. But this is the result of Ambedkar's fight with Gandhi. We don't know how things would have been if not for this. So definitely Ambedkar contributed to reservations, no doubt about it. And he fought for SC reservations. And during the discussion on SC reservations, ST issue also came up. And SC/ST got reservations. And many years later, basis. And reservations definitely is one very, very powerful instrument of social change in India. So Ambedkar is very seriously can be held responsible for this positive change. From SC to ST and much later basis. And even now people believe in reservations. Why? Because that is the program that is least manipulated. Any government scheme, any scholarships, any funding, any developmental schemes, there is a lot of corruption, but reservations least. And it is a one-time measure. So BC reservations are contributing, SC/ST reservations contributed because of one man's fight. So people who have power will of course dislike, but that is in the very nature of social change. Okay. Next topic.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Please.
Sir, during that time, John Rawls' theory must have been popular, right? Theory of justice. During
it came much later, I think.
Okay, so it came later on.
Reservations, but still the idea was there. But I don't know
Okay.
about you can look at it.
Sir, if not for Ambedkar, then someone would have hadn't someone else might have gone through that pursuit.
Maybe we don't know, but we didn't see many such movements. Ambedkar. Okay, that's one. Okay. If not for Ambedkar, we will look into that. Fine. If not for Ambedkar, that's fine. The same thing as if not for Gandhi. We'll discuss this. Fine.
So one more thing. So the election of a dumb candidate, you said. So how do we say that a candidate that is being elected is a dumb candidate?
Not dumb, dummy.
Okay, sorry, dummy candidate, right? Dummy candidate.
Dummy candidate means basically they represent the upper caste only, though he is from a Dalit. It's like that.
So he is upper caste, but from Dalit. How is that possible?
No. He represents upper caste interest. He doesn't act independently, but he is from a Dalit caste, like that.
Okay, he does favors for the upper caste.
Exactly.
Fine.
You know, many water ministers from Andhra Pradesh came from Telangana. Telangana ministers only deprived Telangana from water, from getting adequate water. That was what Andhra politicians did. So they keep their candidates so that it is there and then blame themselves, blame them. It is like that. That's how caste operates. Okay, so Dalit representation doesn't make much sense.
Sir, but if the candidate is doing favors for the upper caste, won't the Dalits know that he's not for us and he's doing it for the others? And
that is true. It depends upon some unity, some movement, some action, which was not there, which is not there even now.
So why would people elect him, the Dalits?
Because of in the elections, political and economic power matters. That's how village runs, and that is how nation runs.
Okay, so they don't have any option. They are just doing it because they have that candidate.
That is how the system works. Unless these special provisions are to see that the society doesn't follow its usual pattern and something new is introduced. It is like that. If Dalits can elect their own, why reservations at sarpanch level also? Because they are not you. It is like that. Please, next, religion part. Case, what did you think of? Sorry, Deepthi, you have something to say.
Sir, I have a point or a question.
Please.
Suppose Hinduism gets divided between depressed classes and majority. Ambedkar used to believe that British government is much better than oligarchy or a Hindu-dominated government.
Okay.
So, in case Hinduism gets divided, the depressed classes could have supported the British government because they were getting education and other things. So, could Gandhi have thought in this way that Congress or the Swarajist movement will lose the required majority if Hinduism gets divided?
No, whatever. What should be priorities to Ambedkar?
I am asking, was this the reason Gandhi didn't support Ambedkar?
Because Ambedkar was not asking for British to stay. Ambedkar supported independence. But Ambedkar wanted reform. Ambedkar did not say that British should stay, but he knew that the Britishers were helpful. But it is...
Yes, sir, okay. But Congress would have lost the strength if Hinduism gets divided.
But why should Congress be equated with Hinduism? Congress was claiming it was secular. Why should Gandhis be botheration at all about Hinduism and Hindu unity? What is this nation for? Nation is for any religion. Let people choose whatever the religion they want.
Yes, sir. Okay.
These are all the things that Ambedkar is questioning. That is the reason I am telling you, after Gandhi, Ambedkar is the only original thinker in politics. In spirituality, I have a completely different set of people. But in politics, Ambedkar is the only original thinker. Because Ambedkar is questioning the basic assumptions about Indian nation. Why should a nation be Hindu? People are free. What should a nation for? For the rights of the people. What should religion be for? For the rights of the people. So it is a view from the below. It's a view from the below. Whereas everything else, in the name of unity, view from the above. Who are villains to the Dalits? Not the British. It is the upper caste. How did Ambedkar get educated? Because of the British. His caste was recruited by the British army, and that is how elite emerged. This entire education of equality, who gave? British. So it was Ambedkar who was in touch with the reality of Indian society. So it is the upper caste that gave the idea, we are one and they are the outsiders. But Ambedkar said, no, they are our friends and you are the enemy. You are the enemy, not now, for thousands and thousands of years. Not that we are one and you are the enemy, our great glory. It is not our great glory, your great glory. And if you can be proud of your own exploitation, that is when only you can be proud of your glory. Because what you think is glory is our slavery. It is those people who made us think differently. Christianity, schools, Western education. It is they who did not discriminate me in US and UK. It is here where I am discriminated. So who is a friend and who is an enemy? Whose rights you are talking about? Whose freedom you are talking about? This is how history should be written. The whole idea that the Britishers are the enemy and we are one is the most rubbish that the students are taught. This is simply the upper caste perspective. That is the point Ambedkar is raising. Whose freedom, please tell us? So greatness of Ambedkar was that he never for a moment forgot this position. Who is our friend? Who is our enemy? Okay. So the essential reality of Indian society, Ambedkar is bringing out against all the propaganda of the upper caste. Whatever the rights you are talking about, tell me, how about us? You first. How can you say after they are gone, we will give? They came only recently. What were you doing to us for all these years? It is simply one man's questioning. So if you fully understand Ambedkar, you will just see the charm of the whole edifice of this history writing paradigm. And that is how Ambedkar looked at the Indian society. It is said, just like he looked at a village. I mean, you think of a village from upper caste. Okay, all Telugu movies are made in terms of village of the upper caste. It's such a glorious thing. They're so nice fields and things like that. But how is a village from a Dalit ward? That is how Ambedkar looked at Indian society, Indian nation, constitution, everything. That is why he was source of very original thinking. He never forgot his sources, his base. So whose freedom? Tell me first. Who is the oppressor? You tell me. Basic questions. So why do you make British as my enemy? Maybe your enemy, I have no idea, but you are my enemy. Settle the issue first. There is only one man who thought like this. And Ambedkar thought he was his guru, Jyotiba Phule. Only one man before Phule, and next Ambedkar. So Ambedkar is closer to the truth of Indian society. Devansh, please tell me.
Sir, I did not understand why did he budge? Why did he bend down to Gandhiji's fast? Why did he not carry on with his demands?
Because first of all, he did not completely budge because Gandhi agreed to primaries. That is number one. Number two, so much of resistance, and if he died, there would be violence against Dalits in all the places, and it might not serve the purpose. So you can only carry to a particular point. It was like that. He didn't completely, but that is a part of being political. That's you should always see the limitations. He tried. It's about relative power. Everybody is forcing Ambedkar, including his wife, as you saw in the movie.
Sir, so real blackmail was the possible violence against untouchables on a large scale if Gandhiji died.
Could have been possible. Definitely. Could have been possible. Could have been possible. Even otherwise, there was violence. And if Gandhi died, definitely there would be violence. I don't know if you thought of that or not, but like anybody, he is a human being. So that's what anything.
And sir, one more thing.
Not only Ambedkar, Gandhi also goes for compromises like that. He pushes and then in the end, he compromises. That's what he did with the British also.
And sir, you said that Gandhiji's popularity has been falling and Ambedkarji's has been rising. Sir, but
No.
yes, sir, but in this, especially civil services, it is that whenever we have to prove any point at any phase, we just bring up Gandhi, and then it's like he's irrefutable. He's taught like that any quotation give Gandhi.
No, that is
anything
true.
give Gandhi.
But you can give Ambedkar's quotation also. You can talk about Ambedkar. Now Ambedkar is an accepted figure, but at one time he was not. Do you know history books did not even have Ambedkar's figure? But now let anybody write history without Ambedkar's figure, that will be burned. No, still there is Gandhi bias in the civil service community, but not definitely in the political community. Politicians don't praise Gandhi so much. Gandhi is bashed for a variety of reasons, and recently for communal reasons, for Dalit reasons, whatever. But in civil services, Gandhi is there. There is no doubt. Because Gandhi represents some ethics. Gandhi is definitely a higher person. There is no doubt about it. So I'm just looking at from caste point of view and within Indian context, political context. That's all. I'm not saying both of them are equal, not like that. Okay. So I'm only saying between Gandhi and Ambedkar in that struggle, Ambedkar won. That is my point. It is not Gandhi total, Ambedkar total, not like that. Gandhi has so many facets.
Sir, it is similar like on the issue of religion, Jinnah was more practical. Similarly, on the issue of caste, Ambedkar was more practical. Gandhi was more impractical and dissociated from reality.
Dissociated from reality. We'll see in the case of Jinnah versus Gandhi also, I think Jinnah was right. Okay. Oh, okay. Next, religion.
One question.
Please.
Sir, we talked about during Socrates that no one does evil voluntarily. So and if someone is wrong, we can make him know that he's wrong and all that. Okay. So in this, we are saying that Gandhi is wrong. So wasn't he knowing that his inner contradictions?
True, but the Socrates was not referring to people like Gandhi. Gandhi is far more advanced creature. Both are right.
Sir, but isn't he seeing
both
his
are
own...
right? Both of them are not evil. We are just looking at, discussing either Gandhi or Ambedkar helps us because both of them are great people. There is no doubt about it. Remember, Gandhi was not doing for a personal benefit. He was also going by his conviction. Gandhi was not trying for his wealth or political power. No, Gandhi believed that way. But we are questioning Gandhi's belief, but not because Gandhi was an inferior man. He was not like that. So Gandhi is a great man. There is absolutely no doubt about it. So no one does evil voluntarily, is not applicable to these two people. Both of them are great.
And sir, one last question, sir. What is your thought on this debate of one system between Gandhi and Ambedkar?
World system, Gandhi represents something much more.
No, sir. Sir, Chaturvarna. Gandhi wanted to keep it and Ambedkar wanted to destroy the caste system. Chaturvarna.
Again, Ambedkar was right. Gandhi's approach was ahistorical. Ambedkar thought that from caste system only untouchability came and destruction is inter-caste marriage. But anyway, on this issue, Gandhi yielded in his later life. Gandhi also believed in inter-caste marriage. So Gandhi said, Harijan a Hindu boy, upper caste boy should marry a Harijan girl. So Gandhi himself changed on this viewpoint. Gandhi came towards Ambedkar's view, you can say, in these issues.
Sir, this is not taught in UPSC.
No, sorry. If you take Ramchandra Guha's book as a one standard textbook, he mentioned this. Gandhi's views on intercaste marriage changed. I can give you the quotations also on Gandhi, what Gandhi said on intercaste marriage. So Gandhi in the beginning believed that intercaste marriage should not be there, interdining was not there, but Gandhi changed. I can give you the quotations, but Gandhi changed. Gandhi changed on intercaste marriage. And if Gandhi changed on intercaste marriage, in effect, he is yielding to Ambedkar's position. Anyway, that's the nature of Gandhi. He changes. Okay, but on this he changed. There is no doubt about it. I will give you the quotation also. He took it as a kind of reform, and some marriages also were held like that, intercaste marriages, as per Gandhi's encouragement. So let me tell you, since you talked about Socrates' quotation, both of them are genuine. We may judge them now, but you can see how Gandhi really worked for the eradication of untouchability, and he was cleaning toilets. And in that movie, he pushed Kasturiba for refusing to clean a toilet of lower caste person. So Gandhi was committed, but his idea of religion was conservative. Ambedkar is much more different, modern. Okay, we'll come to that later, but we're just looking at the political aspect. Okay, so it's not that one is an evil, but their views are different, but they're very great people, there is no doubt. Okay, and in this context, we're just examining one aspect, one event of Gandhi actually, but Gandhi is huge. Gandhi represents so many viewpoints, so many issues. Okay, it's like that. So where are we? So religion. Religion also, Gandhi's belief is that whatever the religion you belong to, you should, but Ambedkar thinks matter of choice. So let Hinduism. One thing about Ambedkar is that he did try to reform Hinduism. Temple entry he tried, participation in festivals he tried. Okay, water he tried, but convinced in the end, these people won't change. Only as a desperate measure he went. Gandhi thinks every religion has to, that's what in the movie also, if you apply Ambedkar's criteria against any religion, no religion will survive that criteria. He may be right. Because Gandhi thinks, what Gandhi's argument is that so many great people in Hinduism, so many great people in other religions also. So why don't you go by them like Kabir and Tulsidas and people like, not Kabir, Tulsidas and many others. Why don't you go by them? Why do you go by these people who practice untouchability? But Ambedkar thought that you should go by the general practice and not take the best people from Hinduism. Equally valid arguments, what to do? So Gandhi thinks you should go by the best people, but Ambedkar thought, why should I go by the best people? You go by how the practices are there in general. Okay. Ambedkar's approach is more scholarly, analytic, academic, historical, empirical. Gandhi's is more spiritual, religious, interpretative. Okay. So these are two different individuals. There cannot be one meeting ground. Okay. So, for example, Ambedkar looks at historically, untouchability is a part of caste system. He's historically right. But Gandhi says that is not part of Hinduism. Who said that is not part of Hinduism? That's how Hinduism evolved. Hinduism and caste are intricately, intrinsically linked. But Gandhi says, I just don't care about the history. I am saying this is what my Hinduism is. What matters is not his Hinduism. What matters is what people think of Hinduism. So it is the same thing like Jinnah's argument. The India is not of Mahatma's, I want Pakistan. It's similar to that. Hinduism may be equal, but Hinduism in general was. He's not like that, so I don't want. That's Ambedkar's. Okay. So these are two different approaches. But in the end, ultimately, Ambedkar is becoming like a god under Ambedkarites Buddhism, and Gandhi became like a man only. So it's a strange outcomes in the end. In Ambedkarites Buddhism, Buddha is one, has one place, and then next to Buddha, there is Ambedkar side of statue, people worship. So Mahatma became a historical figure, and Ambedkar is divine figure. Okay, so that's how it is emerging as. Coming to Ambedkar's acceptance now, I mean, that is also the nature of Hinduism. Hinduism absorbs people. Hinduism is not like Islam. It doesn't have, I mean, Islam also, there are different things, but overall nature. Hinduism just absorbs people. You are your worst critic also. Hinduism says, finally, in the end, you are mine. Like Buddha was absorbed, though Buddha was a critic, like that. Ambedkar also is absorbed like this, and people worship. Hinduism's way of destroying criticism is making that person a god. But till now, that is not happening. Not much has happened. BJP wants to claim, Congress wants to claim. BJP's claim is too bad. But on the whole, still Ambedkar represents a symbol of defiance. Still a symbol of defiance rather than a symbol of established order. That is why I think Jai Bhim can be a powerful slogan as opposed to Jai Shri Ram. Please watch Jai Bhim. It's a very good movie. I'm surprised. I just wanted to see only half the movie and it started at 9:30, but I couldn't stop. I completely watched it up to 12:30 or something like that. Please watch that movie and we'll discuss. Or briefly, you can write your own account. It's a very good movie. So these are different approaches. So third part is over. Now second. Okay, Deepthi, you wanted to ask something?
No, sir, nothing.
Okay, fine. Who will do the second part? Second part, I think.
Sir, I want to comment on the defiance. The defiance is because. So I just want to add there.
Please.
So defiance is because people want to remain segregated. They don't want to get mixed. Even there are efforts from the Hinduism side, but people want to remain segregated. They want their separate identity.
That is true, but who? Why do you say people? Who want to remain united and who want to be separated?
The Ambedkarite Buddhists.
That's true, but for what?
Because they don't want to, I mean, so they feel that if they get into the fold again, then again the injustice would follow.
Assertion. So religion as an assertion. Religion as an assertion. So these are all the ways caste is changing. I think Ambedkarite Buddhism would pick up soon. It is just that after Ambedkar, no strong movements. Kanshiram wanted, but he died before that. And Mayavati also had plans, but by that time she lost power. She said, I think once I become prime minister, I will do something like that. So she didn't. Okay. But I believe Ambedkar has much greater future than what he is having now.
Sir, in the movie, we also see Ambedkar ji's defiance, generate, because the first time he was denied water in that Baroda office, he did not defy. But then in the college, he defied and then told that this is a mantra, you can purify the water if you want.
Yes, he is becoming progressively assertive. But do you see the power of modernity? He faced non-discrimination. He enjoyed non-discrimination in the Western context. Okay, so Indians understood modernization in the Western context, and then they looked at their societies and found them to be unjust. That's what happened. That is a power and gift of the British. So it is through British lens they looked at the injustice of their own societies.
And sir, there is also this good quote from this movie. It says that it is possible to be a nationalist without being a congressman.
That's true. That's true. Okay, next, second part. What were the main events of second part? Deepti, you come under second part, right? Karim? Karim, you are doing journey. Sorry, sir, I'm on the way back. Okay, fine. Deepti, you are in the second part. No, Deepti, I think you are in the first part.
No,
Gautam?
sir, I'm in second part only.
Okay, please, Deepti, please continue. What points you have on the second part? Tell me.
Just a minute, sir.
So basically, we discussed religion, communalism, caste, and history. Okay, fine. Deepti.
Sir, just one question, sir. When Jinnah and Ambedkar met, he said that you have supported Pakistan, you have written so and so, but then Ambedkar says that I am against the two-nation theory. So what was his exact position on Pakistan?
I don't know if he changed, but he supported Pakistan at one time. He begged Congress to approve Pakistan. I don't know whether he changed, whether that movie was historically accurate. I need to check. Okay, but then they themselves quote a book, and it is in that book Ambedkar supported Pakistan. Okay, it was Partition. The book title of the book was Partition. Ambedkar very badly wanted partition to happen. Okay, but I don't know if he changed in the end. I have no idea. So I can't say about what he said about Jinnah. But Jinnah was supported. Jinnah was his friend. Ambedkar was close to Jinnah. I don't know about the end point, so I can't say about that. In fact, I wanted to see any note on historical accuracy of the movie, but I did not see any review of the historical accuracy. So I couldn't verify.
And sir, in Constituent Assembly debate, Ambedkar ji also says that in future, even the Pakistanis would think that United India.
Exactly.
Would be
I need
better.
to check. That's what I'm saying. Because it is an Indian movie, right? Not like Attenborough's movie. It's a government movie. But given the fact that it is government produced, it is a great movie. But I don't know the limitations because they didn't want to portray Ambedkar as some kind of anti-nationalist or pro-Pakistani like that. So we don't know what kind of compromises they made in the movie. So a historian should review, and I didn't come across any such review. So I don't know. So that's like that. Attenborough wanted to focus on a theme, but Indian government, it won't be like that, right? Indian government, I don't know what kind of changes they made. But I read the book, so I can't comment on those specific quotations and statements. Okay, Deepti.
Sir, the second part of the movie mainly deals with how Ambedkar starts collecting the depressed classes together and motivating them towards living self-respectable lives with self-respect.
So, can you tell me what is the nature of his agenda? What is his agenda?
Sir, he believes that depressed classes have internalized that
Exactly.
low caste feeling. Unless they believe that they can live respectable lives, they cannot come out of the
that is true. That's
come
true.
out of their mentalities.
Think differently. Otherwise, this is not worth living. That's what he was saying. Yes, self-respect. That's right. They internalized. Okay. Coming to attitudes, this is how attitudes get formed. Attitude against caste, upper caste attitude. Caste and woman are two very good examples for anything you write on attitudes and socialization. Ambedkar is a very good example of all caste related issues. So lower castes internalize the contempt of the upper caste. And upper caste have contempt. So what is Ambedkar trying to do? You drop that image. You drop the culture that was given by them. Education. Why would Ambedkar dress like that, whereas Gandhi dressed completely differently? What is this philosophy about the dress? Why would Ambedkar wear a coat?
To give that symbolic image that even lower caste people can become
Exactly.
Babu
They
like.
cannot be naked because otherwise they are naked. But Gandhi wanted to the reverse. Gandhi normally would wear something, but then he said, in that sense, both Gandhi and Ambedkar are using symbolism to convey a point. This is one thing that, dress is a communication system. It is not true that I dress the way I want. It is my freedom. That is not true. Dress communicates. Dress communicates. You take me to be like this. Okay. So Ambedkar is communicating. Gandhi is communicating. Gandhi is communicating through taking away, removing. Ambedkar is communicating by wearing. Okay. Education, self-respect. Okay, next, what are the movements that he launched or he tried to do?
He first started Moknayak, then he started the Bahishkrit Bharat Mahasabha.
Magazine, just magazines. Don't you think magazine is a common to Gandhi and Ambedkar? Both of them were running magazines. Okay, because they convey their ideas. Yes, magazines. Okay, next.
He called for educate, agitate, and organize.
Exactly.
Then he
temple entry, isn't it?
Yes.
And pond, taking water from the pond. Okay, so what can we say these are the, what is the thrust of these activities? Can you tell me what is the thrust? Is it within the system or rebellion against the system?
Rebellion, sir.
No, compared with the later stage.
Within.
Reforming. Exactly. That's legal, lawful. Exactly. Legal is, he always had this legal thing. That's one thing about Ambedkar. He was not like a Marxist. See, one thing about Ambedkar is that he always believed in legal constitutional changes. Legal constitutional and parliamentary democracy. He was not like a Marxist. Though, given his position, he could have been attracted to Marxism, but he was not. Later, he read that's a different issue. But essentially, he believed in legal, constitutional, and non-violent. So, in certain ways, there is similarity. In fact, his Satyagraha was Mahat Satyagraha, temple entry and getting arrested, like that only. Pond. But then, Congress did not cooperate with all these things. Nor Ambedkar was a member of Congress. So, without joining Congress, he did things within. So, he wanted them to be accepted as a part of respectable members of Hinduism. That is why you dress differently, educate, okay, behave differently. So, you can see his conversion to Buddhism is the last desperate act. I had enough of you. So, he said, I was born as a Hindu. I didn't have any freedom. But now I am not going to die as a Hindu. Because that was within his freedom of choice. So you can see it was within compared to what he did. And he was always legal, constitutional. but primarily focused on social change. So in what way his stand changed in these things? He said no. So when Gandhi was inviting him for a temple movement, he said no. Ambedkar realized political empowerment is important. Okay, so these are like Gandhian movements only: magazines, temple entry, pond, education. Gandhi would have no objection. So after trying them, Ambedkar said, no, these things won't work. I had enough. So by the time Gandhi changed, Ambedkar changed. Became more radical. Deepti. Next.
He didn't fall into the trap of Brahmin and non-Brahmin splits. He said, I don't hate Brahmins personally, but Brahminism, which can be found or not found in Brahmins as well as not non-Brahmins.
He didn't say that is a subtle thing. He was against Brahminism, not Brahmins. So when some people said the Brahmins should not be a part of your struggle, then he said, no, I'm against Brahminism and not Brahmins. Gandhi also would say the same thing. Gandhi accepted untouchables in his ashram, and Ambedkar was accepting upper caste in his movement. So to Gandhi, untouchability is the problem, not untouchables. So to Ambedkar, Brahminism is the problem, not Brahmins. Same strand. Never advocated violence, unlike somebody like Jinnah who advocated violence. Never advocated violence. Peaceful, constitutional, legal. Okay. Defying in the spirit, but not in terms of violence, physical violence. No. Ambedkar was primarily a thinker, writer. He was trying to change things through conviction, empowerment, education. Case?
Sir, Ambedkar had gone through so many harsh experiences through his childhood that he was not inclined towards violence.
Yes. He was not prone to violence. That's true. We'll come to the early part. Okay. Deepti, finished?
Some more is there, sir.
Please.
He also said that religion and slavery is not compatible. Further, he gave his agenda before Simon Commission, saying that depressed classes should come into public services. And in case there is adult franchise, there should be reserved seats. In case there is no adult franchise, there should be separate electorates.
Okay, fine.
Then when Simon Commission asked whether it would create a permanent wall between upper castes and lower castes, he said that will depend on the attitude of majority.
He was asked, they should change. They should change.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Do you see, he was doing things which Congress did not approve of. Textbooks say Simon Commission, go back, and that was a nation's agenda. But Ambedkar did not go. Ambedkar welcomed roundtable conferences. Ambedkar was doing things which Congress would consider seditious. Because Ambedkar knew that was an issue, and he went about it. Okay, last. Deepti, okay?
Yes, sir.
Last is the first part.
Sir, there is one small point. Whenever Gandhi said that he will reform Hinduism and do something for untouchables, Ambedkar always insisted that education or religion won't help, political rights will help, and he didn't want charity of the upper castes. He said the lower caste should evolve through political rights.
That's true. Yes. Okay, last part. Tell me, now we are coming to somewhat different. Why should Ambedkar be like that? Why, I mean, childhood or whatever. Finally, I mean, how did he, I think Attenborough's movie was much greater in that way. But finally, why did he become what he became? Childhood. What was the role of British in creating Ambedkar? Can you tell me? Just 1 second. Phone call. What was the role of British in creating Ambedkar? We discussed role of British in creating Gandhi. So let us discuss what is the role of British in creating Ambedkar.
Western education.
Education.
Western education.
Yes. Western education. Why? How Western education? How were they given the education in the first place? Because his family members were employed in the army. Many people of that caste were employed in the army, and his father was a headmaster of a school, army school. So Western education, Western exposure. So I want you to understand these leaders understood their societies through the West. If there was no modernization, Ambedkar would not be possible. Phule happened, and by that time, many reforms, social-religious reform movements happened. Some moderate leaders talked about, but in that context, caste reform became important. But the power of Ambedkar was that Ambedkar was not a Brahmin talking about in general about reform, but Ambedkar was somebody deeply wounded person coming from the below. It was not like Rajaram Mohan Rai or Ranade and people like that. Deeply wounded, genuine. It is Ambedkar was not speaking out of compassion, kindness, not that he didn't have. First, out of wound. Very personal experience. Ram Mohan Rai did not have that. So upper caste talking about caste reform, because to create a great India, because to unite, to mobilize, is not what Ambedkar felt. To Ambedkar, India should exist for the empowerment. Otherwise, it didn't have any meaning. Hinduism should exist for the empowerment. Otherwise, it didn't have meaning. So Dalits should be educated not to make India great. Dalits should be educated because it would empower them. It was people-centric. So that is why Ambedkar's fundamentals were very strong, rooted, not fooled by anybody else. Case?
In a movie, he mentions that he has no homeland. He has no stake in the freedom of India unless.
That's true. For others, you know, for the upper caste people, mobilizing the masses so that India will. But to Ambedkar, there was no India. There were people. It is not that the people should be helped so that India will be great. People should be helped because they are people. So do you see how a person is rooted? This is what is called rooting. I can tell you why only, why only him? Of course, he was the most educated person, but some people in his position, I believe, would have simply emerged as a Dalit representative in the mainstream thing. He was educated, but he would have been a representative, Dalit leader, like that. But Ambedkar's greatness was in defying Congress and Gandhi and pursuing things independently. Whether anybody else would have done is a different issue. I would say that is Ambedkar's greatness. For example, Lala Lajpat Rai asked him, now you are that. I mean, maybe many people would have been thrilled. Okay, some great leader was asking, no, I am also work for India. But Ambedkar said no. So he would have been a leader from Dalit community, but as a part of the mainstream. But he was not to be. And remember, he was alone in his struggle. There was not even one equal common person. He was alone, common friend. Like Gandhi was alone in his agenda, Ambedkar was alone in his agenda. They were there to influence people, not really to be influenced by others. So that is why I hold these two are remarkable figures from Indian politics. So Ambedkar would have been a nominal figure. But of course, if Ambedkar did not have that passion, maybe he wouldn't have studied so hard. He would not have understood things. He studied society in an intensely personal sense. Like Gandhi studied. Like Gandhi understood. Okay, so I would say that is Ambedkar's greatness. So if Ambedkar was not there, maybe things would have changed and it would have been, but we don't know. Maybe could have been much slower. Gandhi also was a unique person. India would have been free without Gandhi also, but what kind of India, how it would have been, we don't know. Same thing about Ambedkar. Dalits would have improved their position. But would somebody throw light on Indian society in a way like he did? Would somebody be like an icon the way he did? Might not be. So I see Ambedkar perseverance, commitment all through his life. Of course, coming to movie, he was speaking exactly like this all through, but Attenborough would have done it differently. He did it differently. Gandhi was different. Gandhi was not behaving the same way throughout the movie, but Mammootty was behaving exactly like this throughout the movie. That was bad making. Okay. So, westernization, pain, academic touch, and not being influenced, not being offered, he would have been considered a great nationalist. He would have been a great Congress leader. He wouldn't have been called a traitor. But Ambedkar refused. So I would say that is his greatness. He did not enter the mainstream being the Congress. Okay. He stuck to his ground from the beginning to the end. Neither a Marxist nor a Gandhian. Okay, he was himself. Because he was focused on his problem and looked at everything from that perspective. Otherwise, I would say Gandhi would have been a great temptation. He would have emerged as a leader from Dalit community. That was the nearest and closest thing that somebody with his education could have become. But Ambedkar refused. I would say that is his greatness. So would history recognize, as he said? I think it would. If he didn't, get lost. I don't know. That is what is meant by conscience. Because name is tempting, position is tempting, mainstream prize is tempting. Okay. So when the whole nation gave a boycott to Simon Commission, why would you go? When RTC was boycotted, why would you go? All the time being called as a British agent, anti-India, traitor. So that shows conviction. These are the things that everybody should learn. And in that sense, he is just like Gandhi only. Gandhi also had the same temperament. Gandhi was not convinced by Congress methods. Ambedkar was not convinced by Gandhi methods, like that. Okay.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Please.
Sir, in the Constitution, we have Article 14, 15, 16, which provide for the reservation. So that were added because of the British and the prevalence of John Rawls theory, or was it added due for the British depressed classes specifically?
No, basically you are asking me, how did the concept of reservations come? I'll have to find out.
Yeah, exactly.
Historically, how exactly did they get this idea? I had to find out. I don't know.
And how did it get into our constitution?
That's fine.
So one more thing.
They got in. Okay, within the Indian context, I was telling you, but okay, Rawls 1971. So that's why we didn't say Rawls here, but how that idea came, we will look into. Fine.
One more thing. Sir, we talk about economic and the Dadabhai Naoroji wrote on British rule in India. So we haven't heard about the problem of rupee. No one mentions about the problem of rupee, the thesis written by.
Exactly.
So is there any?
Ambedkar knew economic problems. Ambedkar was not saying there was no economic exploitation. That was his thesis. But Ambedkar primarily thought in terms of the internal problem in Indian society. His research work on that was related to only one thing, on caste. He did from anthropology, and under one anthropologist, he submitted his thesis that was on caste. So he did many things, economics. So Ambedkar knew economic exploitation, obviously.
So sir, we can quote this also, the problem of rupee, because we only get Dadabhai Naoroji's critic and no one else.
Maybe. That's fine. So Ambedkar knew economics. Do you see in the movie that they rejected the thesis, not because the content was wrong, but because of the language? Okay. So that is why you can't say that if they were given separate electorate, they would support the British. No, that see, basically, some people, like be it Ambedkar or Jinnah, I mean, actually, if there were only Muslims, Jinnah would have been different. If there were only Dalits in the country, Ambedkar would have been different. Why some groups behave differently in a main struggle is that when somebody doing the main battle, so you take care of your interests. That makes sense. So Jinnah was worried about Muslims and Ambedkar was worried about Dalits. Because somebody fighting, doing that work of Gandhi was doing that. So if Gandhi was not there, if they were the main people, how would they behave? They would be